Welcome back to Real Family Secrets. Sometimes the truth does not arrive in a message. It does not appear in a hotel receipt. It does not come from a stranger calling at midnight. Sometimes it arrives in a school hallway, said by someone who has no idea they are about to change your life. My daughter's teacher looked at my wife and said, "Aunt Rachel, I'm so glad you could make it." My wife's name was Lauren, and in 12 years of marriage, I had never heard anyone call her Rachel. My name is Nolan Reed. I'm 42 years old, and I work as a senior claims adjuster for a regional insurance company outside Columbus, Ohio. My job is not dramatic. I investigate damaged homes, flooded basements, collapsed roofs, kitchen fires, broken pipes, and the occasional business owner who swears a storm destroyed something that was already falling apart long before the rain came. Most of the time, the answer is in the paperwork, dates, photos, small inconsistencies, a repair estimate submitted before the supposed accident, a receipt that does not match the materials in the room, a contractor who says one thing on the phone and another thing in writing. People think the biggest lies are complicated. They usually are not. Usually, they are just built from details someone hoped no one would line up side by side. Lauren and I had been married for 12 years. She was 39, worked part-time as a family counselor at a nonprofit, and had always been the more socially capable one between us. Lauren remembered birthdays. She knew the names of our neighbors' dogs. She could walk into a room where she knew no one, and leave 20 minutes later with 3 phone numbers, 2 invitations, and the name of somebody's aunt who needed help moving a couch. I used to admire that about her. Maybe I still did, even after everything. Our daughter, Ava, was 9. She had my dark hair and Lauren's ability to ask questions that were either brilliant or impossible to answer. At the time, she was obsessed with space. Not astronauts, not rockets, space itself. She wanted to know what was outside the edge of the universe. She wanted to know if aliens could have jobs. She wanted to know why people said stars were dead when they still looked alive from our backyard. Every night before bed, she would point out her window and ask me to find the brightest thing in the sky. And every night, I would pretend I knew what I was looking at. That Thursday was parent night at Ridgeway Elementary. Ava had spent the whole week preparing for it. Her class had made what they called family story boards. Each child had chosen an object from home and written about why it mattered. Ava chose an old brass compass that had belonged to my father. She had glued a picture of it to a blue poster board and written in very serious handwriting, "My dad says a compass does not tell you where to go. It tells you where you are." I read that sentence 3 times when she showed it to me. Lauren smiled and said, "She gets that from you." I remember feeling proud. That is one of the things betrayal does. It does not erase the good memories. It stands beside them. It changes the light around them. Parent night started at 6. I came directly from work, still wearing my gray button-down shirt and the shoes I kept under my desk for site visits. Lauren had texted me that she would meet me there after a late counseling session. I got to the school early. The halls were crowded with parents. Children ran between classrooms holding cookies on napkins. Teachers stood beside poster boards and plastic cups of lemonade. There was the normal smell of a school after hours. Dry erase markers, paper, floor cleaner, something warm from the cafeteria that had probably been dinner 3 hours earlier. It was ordinary. That matters because, at the time, I had no reason to think I was walking into the beginning of the end of my marriage. Ava's classroom was near the library. Her teacher, Miss Delaney, was standing by the door greeting families. She was in her early 50s, with silver hair pulled into a loose bun and the kind of patient voice that made every child sound like their latest drawing was a major contribution to civilization. I liked her. Ava liked her even more. I was looking at the classroom displays when Lauren came down the hall. She wore a navy coat, her hair tied back, and the small gold earrings she usually wore when we went out to dinner. She had told me her session ran late, but she looked less like someone who had spent an afternoon in an office and more like someone who had prepared for an evening she cared about. I noticed that, not because I suspected anything, just because I knew her. Miss Delaney saw Lauren and smiled. "Oh," she said, stepping forward. "Aunt Rachel, I'm so glad you made it." Lauren stopped walking. Not dramatically, not enough for anyone else in the hallway to notice, but I noticed. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her purse. Her smile appeared a second too late. Then she looked at Miss Delaney and said, "Of course, I wouldn't miss it." Miss Delaney glanced at me. And you must be Ava's dad. I've heard so much about you. I held out my hand. Nolan. She shook it warmly. Lauren has been such a wonderful support to Naomi this semester. I know Ava is lucky to have her too. I looked at Lauren. She did not look at me. Naomi? I asked. Lauren answered quickly. One of the girls in the mentoring program. Miss Delaney nodded. Yes, her father has been through a difficult year. It has made such a difference having Aunt Rachel around for her. There it was again. Aunt Rachel. Not Lauren. Not Mrs. Reed. Not even a nickname I had heard at some point and forgotten. A name I did not know. Lauren touched my arm lightly. Naomi's dad was dealing with a lot after his divorce, she said. I helped with some school events. It was informal. Miss Delaney smiled again, unaware of anything strange. Well, whatever you've done, it's been meaningful. Naomi talks about you all the time. Then a parent behind us asked the teacher a question, and the moment ended. Or at least, everyone else thought it ended. Lauren stepped into the classroom. I followed her. Ava ran toward us from the far corner, holding her blue poster board carefully with both hands. Dad, she said, you came. Of course I came. Did Mom come? Lauren bent down and hugged her. I'm here, sweetheart. Ava showed us the compass project. She explained every sentence. She pointed out a tiny drawing she had made of me standing in the backyard with a flashlight. Lauren praised her. I praised her. We took pictures. We spoke to other parents. And for almost an hour, I behaved like nothing had happened. But I kept hearing the name, Aunt Rachel. On the drive home, Ava sat in the back seat talking about the cookies, the poster boards, and the fact that one of her classmates had brought a rock collection to represent his family. Lauren sat beside me in the passenger seat. Quiet, too quiet. I waited until Ava was asleep. Then I found Lauren in the kitchen. She was rinsing a mug under the faucet. The dishwasher was already running. The house was dark except for the small light above the stove. Why does Ava's teacher call you Aunt Rachel? I asked. Lauren did not turn around. For 3 seconds, the only sound in the room was water running over ceramic. Then she shut off the faucet. It's nothing. That is not an answer, she sighed. It's a volunteer name. A volunteer name. Yes. Why would you need one? Lauren crossed her arms. Because Naomi is a child. Her father did not want her getting attached to someone and then having another adult disappear from her life. I stared at her. And calling you Aunt Rachel fixes that? It was supposed to make her feel safe. Rachel is your middle name, yes. But you never mentioned this program. I mentioned volunteering at the school. You mentioned helping with a fundraiser twice. Lauren's expression sharpened. Nolan, I help people. That is what I do. I do not report every conversation and every volunteer hour to you like I'm filling out a timesheet. That was the first moment I felt something move inside me. Not anger, not yet. Just the beginning of distance. I'm not asking for a report, I said. I'm asking why our daughter's teacher knows a name for you that I don't. Lauren looked down. It was not a big deal. Then why didn't you tell me? She picked up her mug and walked upstairs. The next morning, I did what I always did when something did not make sense. I started with what I could verify. I did not search Lauren's phone. I did not log into anything that was not mine. I did not call her coworkers and ask personal questions. I opened the Ridgeway Elementary newsletter archive. Most schools keep old newsletters online. They are full of things nobody reads until they suddenly need to know what happened 6 months ago. Book fairs, teacher appreciation days, lost and found reminders, committee meetings. I searched for mentoring. 3 months earlier, Ridgeway had announced a pilot program called Family Connections. The program paired parent volunteers with children who had recently experienced family changes, divorce, relocation, illness, loss. The page included a group photo from an orientation meeting. There were 8 volunteers. One was Lauren. Under her photo, it said, Rachel Miller, Family Connections Volunteer. Miller was Lauren's maiden name. I had known it for 12 years. I had never heard her use it since we got married. The next newsletter contained another photo. Lauren was standing beside a man I did not recognize. He was tall, maybe early 40s, wearing a dark green jacket. Beside him stood a girl around Ava's age with curly brown hair and a purple backpack. The caption read, Volunteer Rachel Miller with Parent Representative Thomas Bell and Student Participant Naomi Bell. I looked at the picture for a long time. There was nothing inappropriate in it. No touching. No obvious intimacy. Just 3 people standing near a display of children's books. But Lauren was looking at Thomas Bell in a way that made my stomach tighten. Not because I could prove anything, because I knew my wife's face. I knew the difference between the smile she gave a stranger and the smile she gave someone whose opinion mattered to her. Claims work teaches you something people do not like to hear. Evidence is not always one dramatic thing. Sometimes it is a pattern of small things that stop making sense when you look at them honestly. That evening, I asked Lauren if she had met Thomas Bell. We were sitting at the dinner table. Ava was upstairs doing homework. Lauren paused with her fork halfway to her mouth. Thomas? The father of the girl you mentor. Oh, yes, a few times. Miss Delaney said you had been a major support to Naomi. Lauren put down her fork. Why are we talking about this? Because I did not know you were using your middle name and maiden name at our daughter's school. I told you, it was for the program. And Thomas? What about him? How often do you see him? She looked at me then, really looked at me. You think I'm having an affair with a parent from Ava's school? I think you are avoiding a simple question. You have lost your mind. How often do you see him? Lauren stood from the table. You know what your problem is? You look at damage for a living. You walk into people's homes after something terrible happens, and you start looking for the worst explanation. I stayed seated. That is not what I do. It is exactly what you do. No, I said. I look for what is true. For a moment, her face changed. It was almost invisible, but I saw it. Then she said, I see him when there are program meetings. And she went upstairs. The next Saturday, Ava had a birthday party at an indoor climbing gym. Lauren said she had to attend a Family Connections planning meeting before joining us. I took Ava to the party. I watched her climb bright plastic walls and argue with another child about whether the blue route was harder than the red route. At noon, while she was eating pizza with her friends, I checked the school's public calendar. There was no Family Connections meeting listed. That did not prove Lauren had lied. Some meetings were informal, but I noticed something else. A week earlier, a calendar entry had appeared on our shared family app. FC Planning, 10:30 a.m. It had been recurring every other Saturday for 2 months. I had seen it. I had ignored it, because I trusted her. At 12:15, Lauren texted me. Meeting ran long. I'll meet you at home after. I wrote back, okay. Ava is having fun. Then I made a decision I am still not proud of. I drove toward downtown Columbus. Not because I had proof, not because I wanted to catch her. I drove because the facts had become a room with one locked door, and I could no longer pretend I did not hear someone moving behind it. I did not know where Lauren was going, but Thomas Bell's name was public. His work profile listed him as operations manager for a small environmental consulting company near the riverfront. There was a coffee shop across the street. At 12:42, I saw Lauren's car parked 2 blocks away. Thomas was sitting inside the coffee shop by the window. Lauren was across from him. They were not touching, at first. They talked for about 40 minutes, then Thomas reached across the table. Lauren took his hand, not briefly, not as a comforting gesture. She held it with both of hers. I sat in my car and felt something inside me go very still. There is a kind of pain that arrives loudly. A crash, a scream, a door slamming. And then there is another kind. The kind that does not need to make noise because it changes the shape of everything around it. I did not go inside. I did not take pictures through the window. I did not confront them. I went back to Ava's party. When she saw me, she ran toward me wearing a paper crown and said, Dad, I made it all the way to the top. I hugged her. I know you did. Did Mom come yet? Not yet. She nodded. Then she handed me a cupcake with blue frosting. I ate it because she had saved it for me. That was the moment I understood the most important thing. Whatever Lauren had done, whatever Thomas had done, Ava was not going to become the person who carried it. Not if I could help it. That Monday, I called an attorney named Mark Ellery. He was not a friend. I chose him because I wanted someone who did not know Lauren, did not know me, and did not have a reason to tell me what I wanted to hear. I told him I believed my wife was involved with another parent connected to our daughter's school. I told him I had seen her in public, holding the man's hand. I told him there were shared financial accounts, a child, a house, and 12 years of history. Mark listened. Then he said, Do not do anything impulsive. I'm not planning to. Do not access private accounts. Do not involve your daughter. Do not confront anyone at the school. If you need to protect yourself, make a record of information you legally have access to and make decisions slowly. That was all I needed to hear. The rest came through ordinary things. A shared credit card statement showed 2 lunch charges at the same downtown coffee shop, both on dates listed as family connections meetings. A family calendar entry appeared for an outreach session on a night Ridgeway Elementary had been closed for spring break. Then I found an email receipt in our joint household inbox. It was for a hotel conference room, not a guest room. A small meeting space at a downtown hotel. The reservation had been booked under Thomas Bell's company name. The charge had been partially reimbursed through a community outreach budget. The date matched one of Lauren's Saturday meetings. I did not call the hotel. I did not try to get details that were not mine to request. I saved the receipt, then I waited. 3 days later, Ridgeway Elementary announced its annual Family Connections Showcase. It was supposed to be an evening where students displayed projects and volunteers spoke about community support. Lauren told me she was helping organize it. Thomas Bell was listed as one of the parent representatives. I asked if I could attend. She was standing at the counter, packing Ava's lunch. "You've never wanted to attend one of these events," she said. "I should have." She looked at me carefully. "Why now?" "Because it involves our daughter's school." She stopped packing. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "Fine." The showcase was held in the school library. Rows of student artwork covered the walls. There were cookies on folding tables and paper cups of coffee near the back. Ava had a display about constellations. She was excited because Miss Delaney had allowed her to include a small flashlight that projected stars onto a cardboard ceiling. Thomas Bell stood near the front of the room with his daughter, Naomi. Naomi looked shy. She kept adjusting the sleeves of her yellow sweater. Lauren arrived 10 minutes later. When she saw Thomas, her expression changed before she could stop it. Not affection, fear. She knew I had seen enough. I walked over to Thomas. He held out his hand. "Nolan, right? Lauren has mentioned you?" "I'm sure she has." His hand lowered. I looked at Naomi, then at Ava, who was explaining something to another child near her project. 2 girls. Same school, same room. Neither of them deserved to understand why the adults around them had become so careful. "Could we speak outside?" I asked. Thomas glanced at Lauren, then back at me. He nodded. We walked into the quiet hallway near the library. Lauren followed. At first, neither of them spoke. I took a thin folder from my bag. Inside were copies of the public newsletter photos, the shared account receipts, and the dates from the family calendar. I did not throw them down. I did not wave them around. I placed the folder on the bench between us. "I know about the meetings that were not meetings," I said. Thomas's face changed. Lauren closed her eyes. "Nolan," she whispered. "No," I said. "Not here. Not in front of the girls. But I am done being told I'm imagining things." Thomas looked at the folder. "I never wanted to hurt your family." "Then you should not have built a relationship inside it." Lauren began to cry quietly. "I was lonely," she said. "I felt like everything in our life was schedules and work and responsibilities." Thomas listened. I looked at her. "You had a husband." "I know." "You had a voice." "I know." "You had the right to ask for change. You had the right to leave. You had the right to say you were unhappy." Her shoulders shook. "I know. But you did not have the right to create another life under a different name and make our daughter's school part of the cover." Thomas looked toward the library door. "I thought the volunteer name was just for Naomi," he said. I turned to him. "Did you think I knew about it?" He did not answer. That was answer enough. I did not expose them in the library. I did not call the principal into the hallway. The school had children in it, children who had been promised a safe evening. I would not turn their space into a courtroom. But I did speak to the principal before I left. I told her there were concerns about the Family Connections program and that I believed some volunteer boundaries had been crossed. I did not describe private details. I did not make accusations I could not prove. I asked that the school review the program's procedures, adult contact policies, and use of volunteer names. The principal listened carefully. She said the school would handle the matter appropriately. Then I went back into the library. Ava was waiting beside her constellation project. "Dad," she said, "you missed the best part." "I'm sorry." She pointed her flashlight upward. Tiny stars appeared across the cardboard ceiling. "Look," she said, "you can only see some of them when it gets dark." I looked at the little lights above us. Then I looked at my daughter. "You did a great job," I said. She smiled. "And I meant it." Lauren moved into her sister's apartment 2 days later. The separation did not feel dramatic. It felt administrative at first. Extra toothbrushes, schedules, Ava's soccer practices. Who would pick her up on Tuesdays? Which bills were automatic? Which rooms in the house suddenly felt too quiet? There were conversations with attorneys, discussions about parenting, financial disclosures, hard decisions that did not make good stories when you said them out loud. But they were real, and reality was something I had started valuing differently. The school paused the Family Connections program while it reviewed volunteer procedures. No one blamed the children. No one blamed Naomi. The school brought in outside support for the families who had relied on the program. That mattered to me, because Naomi had not done anything wrong. She had just trusted an adult who used kindness as part of a lie. Thomas and Lauren stopped seeing each other eventually. I heard that through someone else. I did not ask Lauren for details. There are questions that do not give you closure. They only give pain a new address. Ava asked about the separation one evening while we were sitting on the back porch. She had a blanket around her shoulders and a bowl of popcorn in her lap. "Is Mom coming home?" she asked. I looked at the yard. The sun was setting behind the trees. The sky was turning the kind of orange she always said looked like a peach. I wanted to tell her something easy, something final, something that would make her stop looking at me with that worried face. But children deserve truth they can carry, not truth that crushes them. "Mom and I are working on being better parents from different homes," I said. "Did I do something wrong?" I moved closer to her. "No," I said. "You did nothing wrong, not one thing. But why can't we all live here?" "Because sometimes adults make choices that change a family." She looked down at the popcorn. "Are you mad at Mom?" I thought about Lauren in the school hallway. I thought about Aunt Rachel. I thought about the person I had loved and the person I no longer knew how to trust. "I'm hurt," I said, "but you do not have to choose sides. You are allowed to love both of us." Ava nodded slowly. Then she leaned against my shoulder. A few months later, Miss Delaney sent home a new assignment. The children had to write about a person who helped them feel safe. Ava chose me. I know that sounds like the kind of thing people say because they want a story to end neatly. It did not end neatly, but she chose me. Her essay was short. She wrote, "My dad makes pancakes even when he burns the first one. He comes to my school things, he tells me the truth in a way I can understand. He says being brave is not being unafraid. It is doing the right thing while you are afraid." I sat at the kitchen table and read it alone. Then I read it again. A year after the first parent night, Ridgeway Elementary held another family showcase. Ava had moved up to the next grade. Her project was about navigation. She had made a model campsite with a cardboard tent, a paper map, and my father's old brass compass under a clear plastic case. Lauren attended. So did I. We arrived separately. We stood on opposite sides of the classroom at first. Then Ava saw us and waved both arms in the air. "Mom, Dad, come look." We stood beside her project. Not as the family we had been, not as the family I had imagined we would always be, but as two parents who understood that our daughter deserved our best behavior, even after we had failed each other. Miss Delaney came over. She smiled at Ava's project. "This is wonderful," she said. Then she looked at me. "Nolan, she told me you helped her understand the compass." I looked down at Ava. She was watching me closely. "She understood it on her own," I said. Ava picked up the compass carefully. "Dad says it doesn't tell you where to go," she explained. "It tells you where you are." Miss Delaney nodded. That sounds important. It was. Because for a long time, I thought the hardest part of betrayal was learning what someone had hidden from me. It was not. The hardest part was standing in the life that remained and deciding whether I would keep pretending I was lost. I was not lost. I was hurt. I was disappointed. I was learning how to be a father in a different kind of home, but I knew where I was. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough.
The room glows with memories, your perfumes, swirling in the late afternoon. I run my fingers over the tattoo you traced on my skin. Heartbeat sync, skipping rhythm over silent truths. Your laughter spilled red wine on the carpet. You call it art, I call it a map back to you. We paint confessions on broken picture frames, wrapped in your hair, tangled in secrets I'm not trying to escape. Heavy with longing, I draw promises on stained glass. You question everything, but I'm steady as your shadow. Even when you fold your words, I read between the lines. Let's step past boundaries with no excuse. You catch me falling, I never ask for rescue. If tomorrow tears us apart, let tonight be truth. Trace your name and breath on my window. No silence left to hide. Every word, every mark is ours to keep. Midnight echo stories in the hallway. You collect half smiles for rainy days. Hands speak when mouths hesitate. You drop your guard and dare me to follow. We're but honest, burning through doubt, Ooh. Spin me into forgiveness, unravel every secret. No questions, no bargaining, just the ache in my chest. We crumble our pride and build something new. I'm yours in this moment. Your name and breath on my window. Oh, a story written out loud. No silence left to hide. Let every word, every mark be ours to keep. Nothing borrowed, nothing left unsaid. The last laugh, holding on to the night. Your voice lingers, sweet and unfinished we fade, but you remain in every echo of morning.